On the stand, and we've been watching this play out all morning, it's been fascinating. You've got the daughter of the defendant, but also the daughter of the individual that died, who was the victim in this case.
And she's under cross-examination right now. She's being grilled about the interview she gave to police, and the defense says you changed your story, and it's going to get intense. She's going to need to ask for a break. Let's take a look.
I don't remember.
Is it your testimony that when you met with the Commonwealth, along with your lawyer, Dan Conley, in August of 2024, and went over the statements you made to the police, that you said that to the Commonwealth in that meeting in August of 2024?
I don't remember.
And is it your testimony that when you met with the Commonwealth on January 22nd, I think that was by Zoom, not in the office, that when you went over your trial testimony and statements you made, that you said that?
I don't think that came up.
Did you go over your statements that you had made to police when you were in the office with Attorney Dan Conley on August 2024? Did you go over your statements?
No,
You did not?
not the actual statement.
When you had that Zoom meeting last week on January 22nd, did you go over your statements that you had made to the police?
No.
Prior to today, strike that. I withdraw that question. Prior to January 22nd of 2025, last week, you had never told anybody that your mother was slurring her words.
Is that a question or a statement?
Yes. It's a question.
That's false.
When did you tell the police before January of 2025? I'm sorry. When did you tell the police before January 22nd of 2025 that your mother was slurring her words?
I had not talked to the police since they got a statement from me at Patricia Berenson's house.
So, you never told the police when they asked you questions at 40 Meadowbrook on January 28th of 2020, you never told the police that your mother was slurring her words?
No.
And when you talked to the state police 3 hours later in Miss Garrison's house, you never told the police that your mother was slurring her words?
No, I had just found out my father died.
But you never told them that your mother was slurring her words?
No, I had just found out that my father died.
So you want to keep adding that to the answer, not, we understand, but you never told them, right, about slurring words?
No, again, my mind was on other things.
Well, you were asked a lot of questions, weren't you?
Yes, 3 hours after my dad died.
And you answered those questions, didn't you?
To the best of my ability at that moment.
And are you telling us that between the time you spoke to the police back on January 28th of 2020. You've never gone over all these statements that you made to the police with the district attorney?
I've never seen the statements that I made.
And you haven't gone over it?
How do you define go over them?
That you're asked, did you make this statement? The district attorney said, I'm going to have you read this report. I'm going to ask you if you made these statements. And you go over your statements.
No, they wouldn't let me look at the actual statement.
And what about at the end of the questioning by the state police at Miss Barrison's house? Did they go over the statements you had just given them and confirm that they were accurate?
I don't remember.
You told the state police while you were at Miss Barrison's house on January, I think now it would be January 29th of 2020, in the early morning hours. You said that your quote, mother was coherent. That's what you told them then, correct?
Again, I haven't gone over the statement, so, and I don't remember, so I can't confirm that.
And you told the state police, and specific to Trooper McKennick, you told him your mother was making sense, correct?
Again, I don't remember. I haven't read the statements or gone over them.
So have you told the government, I'm talking about Assistant District Attorney Blair or Assistant District Attorney McGee, have you told them that you don't remember all these statements that are in police reports?
Yes.
But when you were asked questions today by Assistant District Attorney Blair, you never once said, I don't remember, did you?
I don't know.
You need to take breaks?
No.
Take that, sir.
Okay, the witness, the daughter, having some trouble there, walking out of the courtroom, and there's mom. Oh, this is just heartbreaking to imagine what's going through her mind right now. Her daughter, obviously convinced that if mom didn't come over and throw a fit, dad would still be alive. It is a complicated web, and you know.
Yeah, it's mom's attorney who's having to grill her on her statements and why she didn't tell police initially what she's telling the judge now, that her mother was slurring her words, that her mother refused to do CPR until the daughter said, you know, try to save dad. It's a tough one, but we understand that there may have been a very strained relationship even before this incident.
She was living with dad, so they were estranged, definitely. And here we are. Now they're in a courtroom. We'll get a break. We'll get you back in for more of the socialite manslaughter trial for Penelope McGee in Massachusetts right after this.
Childhood friendship that turned into a feud and ended with shots fired.
Now, a famous rapper and Rihanna's significant other
faces felony assault charges.
The trial of A$AP Rocky, today, only on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, the wife of a famed LA hairdresser stands accused of plotting his murder. We're diving deeper into today's key moments in the celebrity stylist murder trial.
Closing arguments tonight at 8, 7 Central on Court TV. People.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are bringing you testimony for the bench trial for Penelope McGee that's happening in Massachusetts.
It'll be up to Judge Beverly Cannoni to decide if McGee is guilty or not. She waived her right to a jury trial and wants this to be just a bench trial. Manslaughter is the charge.
And prosecutors say that McGee knew that her husband, ex-husband, Andrew Savitz, had cardiac issues when they got into a pretty heated argument at his house.
Let's bring in our guest to discuss. Joining us this hour, criminal defense and civil attorney Amanda Montgomery. Amanda, good to see you. What's your take on this case? Is this a overreach in terms of a prosecution? I mean, the husband and wife, exes, get into a battle. He drops dead of a heart issue. Was this manslaughter in your opinion?
Good afternoon, Julia and Ted. Thank you for having me. I think the prosecution's going to have to prove, if it's a causation argument, that they have to say that it was directly foreseeable of his death, even if factors such as his pre-existing health issues were a problem and are present. The prosecution's goal is going to have to demonstrate that the defendant's conduct, it was a substantial factor, which is the biggest element really in manslaughter. So I would say that it could be a reach. I don't know what the goal of the daughter being on the stand is right now. It looks like she's having a little bit of a hard time too, but it could be a reach, but the judge is going to make that right call.
Yeah, all up to Judge Beverly Cannoni. So let me ask you this, Amanda. I know you do both civil and criminal defense. We had a former guest, Philip Dubé, who's an incredible criminal attorney, who said that there's a causation issue, to your point, and he thinks it should be in civil court, this case. And I'm curious about the eggshell skull doctrine, where you take your victim as you find them. If you trip someone in the street and they hit the ground, if their skull is as thin as an eggshell and their brains ends up all over the sidewalk, sorry for that visual, but it's on you, the person who did it, even if you didn't know that they had this very sensitive body. And you're still on the hook. So do you think that that applies here, that even though she may not have known how serious her pushing and shoving of him was, if he dies, then she's on the hook?
That's a good point. I mean, that's definitely a classic example that we learned in law school, the eggshell plaintiff, and that could be civil issue, especially towards the issue. There could also be potential civil action after this for maybe wrongful death action, but take the plaintiff as you found them. If there were pre-existing health issues, it's the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that her actions were the reckless and intentional product of what happened. So, yeah, definitely.
Much tougher hurdle in a criminal courtroom.
Absolutely. All right, let's go back into the courtroom now. Still on the stand, the defendant's daughter. She had a little moment to settle down, and they're back at it. Let's watch.
You didn't know what your father were arguing.
I did.
You are muted. You are unmuted.
You told Trooper Finnick at East Barrison's house on January 29th of 2020 that you didn't know the specifics of the argument.
Is that a statement or a question?
It's a question.
Again, I don't remember exactly what I said.
You told Finnick at the same time that you were speculating that the argument, you used the word speculating, that the argument is over your mother being forced out of 79 million.
Again, I don't remember what I said 5 years ago.
you told Officer, I will try a question. You told Brookline police officers at 40 Meadowbrook, when they asked you questions upstairs, you told them that your mother was slapping your father in his face and chest with open hands. That's what you told the Brookline police.
Yes.
When you talked to Trooper Buchanan a few hours later, you said that you saw your mother push and shove your father.
Both things can be true.
You told Buchanan that you saw your mother push and shove your father.
Yes, again, both things can be true.
You did not tell Buchanan that you saw your mother slapping your father in the face.
If you're asking me that, then I guess no.
If I'm asking you that.
If you're asking me if I said it, then I'm assuming I didn't. I don't remember exactly what I said.
And you told us that at one point you called your brother Noah. Correct?
Yes.
Now you told us today that you called your brother Noah when you went up to your bedroom. Correct?
Yes.
Now, you told the police that you called your brother Noah at about 11:15 after you called Miss Barrison and after you tried to call your boyfriend Ben, correct?
Yes. I don't remember.
And when you talked to your brother Noah, you told him that you saw your mother push your father one time. One time. Isn't that true?
I don't remember.
You never told your brother Noah that you saw your mother slap your father in the chest or face, did you?
During that specific phone call?
Yes.
No.
And you never told your brother Noah that you saw your mother shove and push your father 5 to 6 times, did you?
During that phone call?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Did you call your brother Noah twice that night?
I don't remember.
Your mother never, your testimony is that your mother never struck your father with a closed fist.
Or is that a question?
Cross-examination continues to drag on there in Massachusetts. We have to get to a break, but the socialite manslaughter trial for Penny McGee continues after this. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Court TV Live, along with Julia Janae. I'm Ted Rollins. We're heading back to Dedham, Massachusetts now for more of day one in the socialite manslaughter trial for defendant Penny McGee.
She's facing manslaughter charges tied to the death of her ex-husband, Andrew Savitz. This all happened back in 2020. And court documents reveal that the couple's then 18-year-old daughter, and we heard her on the stand talk about her eyewitness testimony, where she saw her mother slapping and pushing her father before he collapsed while she was on the phone with 911.
Let's head back into the courtroom now, still listening to cross-examination of the victim and the defendant's daughter, Zuzzie Savitz. Welcome back to Court TV Live, along with Julia Janae. I'm Ted Rollins. We're heading back to Dedham, Massachusetts now for more of day one in the socialite manslaughter trial for defendant Penny McGee. She's facing manslaughter charges tied to the death of her ex-husband, Andrew Savitz. This all happened back in 2020. And court documents reveal that the couple's then 18-year-old daughter, and we heard her on the stand talk about her eyewitness testimony, where she saw her mother slapping and pushing her father before he collapsed while she was on the phone with 911. Let's head back into the courtroom now, still listening to cross-examination of the victim and the defendant's daughter, Zuzzie Savitz.
Can you rephrase it? I'm confused. Sorry.
You never saw your mother strike your father with closed fists?
No, not that I remember.
And,
Well, in the face.
excuse me?
In the face, she didn't strike him with a closed fist.
Okay. You never saw your mother use a closed fist?
I don't remember.
You told Officer Buchanan at Miss Barrison's house you never saw your mother strike your father with closed fists.
I don't remember.
You never saw your mother arm herself with any kind of weapon?
No.
We saw some photographs of the house, and we saw a photograph of a chair with a hammer in it. Do you remember that photograph?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what that hammer was doing there?
No.
But that hammer was in a chair that is in that small back room, 40 Meadowbrook, correct?
Yes.
And the hammer is in plain view, isn't it?
Yes.
But you never saw your mother handle that hammer or any other type of weapon, did you?
No.
You told us today that when you first heard yelling, you thought it was your father yelling at your brother Harry.
I thought they were yelling at each other.
You've never told that to the police or to the district attorney, have you, before today?
I've told that to the district attorney.
When did you do that?
When I recounted the events.
Was that in the meeting in August of 2024 or in the meeting in January 22nd of 2025?
In 2024.
And you're talking to the district attorney in August of 2024, and you make certain statements about what happened. Did anybody from the district attorney's office at that time say anything like, you never said that before, or that's the first time you said that? Did anybody say anything like that?
I don't remember.
Turning your attention to January 28th of 2020, you're not sure where your mother stayed the night before, January 19th?
No, I'm not sure.
And, I'm sorry, January 27th. You do know that your mother was staying at Fort Meadowbrook in the days leading up to January 28th of 2020, don't you?
Some days when I wasn't there.
And you do know that she was staying in Noah's room, correct?
I assumed, but I'm not sure.
Okay. And is that because you're not sure because your father didn't tell you that your mother was staying in Meadowbrook?
No, he did tell me.
And was there some type of arrangement between you and your father that you wouldn't have to associate or run into your mother while she stayed at Fort Meadowbrook?
It wasn't a formal agreement. I just asked him to please tell me when she was there so I wouldn't go there.
Sure. In fact, during this period of time, you weren't speaking to your mother, were you?
I was not.
Pardon?
I was not speaking with her at the time.
And in fact, when you were asked that on January 29th at Ms. Harrison's house by the state police, you said, I can't even remember the last time I had a conversation with my That's what you told the truth, isn't it?
I don't remember, but that would be correct.
Okay, so you don't even remember the last conversation you had with your mother. Is that fair to say?
No. Yes, it's fair to say I don't remember.
Miss Savitz, you said you told us you were going to college in Miami, correct?
Yes,
And it's fair to say that your brother-in-laws are paying for your college tuition, correct?
yes,
And they're giving you money to live, correct?
yes.
And at some point, did you move up to Newport, Rhode Island during the summer months of 2024?
Yes,
And were you aware of the fact that your mother was living in Newport, Rhode Island at the same time?
no,
Did you discover that she was living there when you moved up to Newport?
yes.
And she never approached you and tried to talk to you, did she?
No, she did not.
And she never approached you and tried to talk to you about this case or anything like that, did she?
Not about this case, no.
And she was in possession of the family dog, right?
Correct,
And the family dog was ill, correct?
correct,
And you wanted to see that dog before the dog passed away, correct?
correct.
And so your mother made arrangements with a person living at the same place to have you come over and look at see the dog, and she left. You didn't encounter your mother, correct?
Correct.
When you described all these photographs in the inside of the house of 40 Meadowbrook, it's fair to say, isn't it, that you walk in the front door to the house, correct? Correct?
Correct, yes,
And then as you look to the right, you see the living room area, correct?
correct,
And in the living room area, there's two couches and they're formed in an L shape, correct?
correct.
And you never saw your mother or father in the living room area on the evening of January.
The defense is really grilling this daughter, especially about the relationship she had with her mother, where she said she doesn't even remember the last conversation she had with her mother before this incident. We're going to get you back in for more. We have to hit the pause button, but you won't miss a minute of the socialite manslaughter trial.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, the wife of a famed L.A. hairdresser stands accused of plotting his murder. We're diving deeper into today's key moments in the celebrity stylist murder trial.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central on Court TV.
He was an icon.
They are in for the fight of their lives.
Let's go back to Norfolk County, Massachusetts. We are following their day one of the socialite manslaughter trial for defendant Penny McGee. She's accused with causing the death of her ex-husband, Andrew Savitz.
She's opted out of a jury trial. She wants a bench trial here, meaning Judge Canoni is going to decide her fate. She faces up to 20 years in prison if she's convicted. She got in a fight with the ex. He drops dead of a heart issue. She's being blamed for his death. Let's go back in. Let's first check in with Amanda Montgomery, who's our guest this hour. This is a tough witness to cross because even though it's just the judge, not a jury, you don't have to worry about hurting jurors' feelings. It is a kid, and she's already had a couple of meltdowns. She starts crying. How do you handle it when you're dealing with someone who is younger, inexperienced in a courtroom and emotional? Her mom is sitting at the defendant's chair.
Yeah, you can only imagine how hard it would be, one, to testify at any age in front of a bunch of people with public speaking. That's hard in itself. Being a young girl, and especially testifying against the murder or manslaughter of your dad, especially hard looking at the mom right across the way, who they already have a little bit of a tumultuous relationship, it seemed like. It's a little interesting to see how defense is going about this, especially, maybe it's a tactic because it is a bench trial. It seems like she doesn't remember a lot. It's interesting to see why he may not be trying to refresh her memory, let her see some of the statements. It's interesting, the tactic. I'm curious to see.
Yeah, that is true. We aren't seeing her being presented with those statements, but he's definitely spending a lot of time trying to compare what she said before versus what she's saying right now. Let's go back into the courtroom for more of that testimony. Again, the victim's daughter, also the defendant's daughter, Zuzzie Savitz, still under cross-examination by her mother's lawyer.
I had seen my mother in the living room after the incident when the police had arrived.
My question was, you never saw your mother
Thank
and
you.
father in the living room area that night, did you?
No, I did not.
And then if you take a right, when you enter that front door and you go through the living room, we looked at photographs and you can take a left out of the living room and now you're in the dining room area. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And that's where the tables and the kitchen cabinets are, where you think the bowl was that was later broken somehow, correct?
Yes.
And you don't have any idea how that bowl broke.
No.
And there are other bowls in that same area, right? And they weren't broken, right? You can see them in the photograph, correct?
Correct.
And as then you turn to your left now, you look in the photographs, we can see the kitchen, correct?
Correct.
And to get to that area of the stove and the refrigerator, you have to walk through like an aisle formed by two kitchen cabinets, correct?
Can you repeat the
Yes.
question?
I'm sorry. As you begin to walk from the dining room area over toward your left, you can see the refrigerator and the stove, correct?
Correct.
And to get there, you have to walk past a kitchen island that's on your left and a kitchen island that's on your right.
Yes, correct.
So there's like an aisle, an opening that you walk through. It's not a door, it's just a space between the
I
cabinets.
mean, they're not really adjacent, but
Right, they're a little, I think,
staggered.
let me use my phrase, catty-cornered.
Cattywampus, yeah.
Okay. And then you walk over, and that's where the refrigerator and the stove are, correct? And if, correct?
Correct. Sorry.
Then you go to the left of the stove, and there's this hallway, correct?
Correct.
And if you walk down that hallway, you look to your right, and there's a bathroom, isn't there?
Can you repeat that?
You walk down that hallway as you're walking past the refrigerator and the oven, and now if you look to your right, there's a bathroom.
Yes. Correct.
And if you kept walking straight past that bathroom, you go to the side, exit door of the house.
Correct.
And these photographs, they all depict that, correct?
Correct.
But when I just talked to you about that bathroom, if then you were to look at the bathroom to your right and then look to your left, that's that hallway that you told us about where your father collect.
Correct.
And so it's fair to say, Ms. Savitz, that if someone enters the house, they can walk around in a circle and get from the living room all the way back to the front door by going through the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, back to that hallway, correct?
Correct.
And you can also enter the house and, of course, go in through the front door, and you could then walk through the hallway, take a right, walk through the kitchen, take another right, walk through the living room, take another right, head to the front door, correct?
Correct.
You don't know how your mother came into the house, do you?
No, I don't.
And you don't know if your mother only made it so far into the house that she only made it into the kitchen, do you?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
You don't know if your mother was in the living room before you came downstairs, do you?
Correct.
And you don't know if your mother was in the dining room before you came downstairs, do you?
Correct.
And you don't know if your mother walked down that hallway off the front door before you came downstairs, do you?
Correct.